So my name is Adriana Avila. I am a Brandon University student, and I am part of the soils research team at Brandon University from Alexander Koiter, our geography professor. And today our team, we want to share this project that we are working in, and it's called Exploring Cattle Grazing as a Riparian Management Tool. Why we are doing this project? Because we, as we know, the amount of humidity that the soils at the riparian areas contain is a big source for the abundance of forage in the riparian areas. And that could become a source for cattling and grazing for the farms, especially in times of drought. But also, it is well known that the riparian areas are an important filter for the, I will say, the cultivated landscape when these resources or these sediments and nutrients will end to the water. So the riparian area is that filter, that buffering, has that buffering capacity to avoid that these nutrients go too fast to our water sources. And this study has been part of the Lake Winnipeg Basin program, and in order to reduce the amount of nutrients. We will focus in this project to the loss of phosphorus, dissolved phosphorus specifically. And what we are doing is we select 4 different riparian areas here at the MBFI. And at each riparian area, we have at each site, wetland, we have a riparian zone that it extends 100 meters along the edge of the riparian areas. This extended riparian area has been subdivided in 4 plots, and each plot will have a different treatment. What we are doing is selecting a benchmark that is based on the slope of the wetland. So we will have transect that will have 3 different points of sampling in the upper, middle, and lower part of these plots. And what we will evaluate is there are 2 main points. We want to characterize the phosphorus distribution around the horizontal, but also around the vertical areas in the riparian zone. So what we have done is we select this transect, and we are taking 3 different samples. In these samples, we are using our this square, and we are placing this in our biomass. And all the standing biomass that will be contained in this square will be clipped, and it will go to one of these mesh, and it will be dry. Once this is dry, we will keep it separate to do all the analysis. But at this same square, we are taking also all the litter, which is all the previous material from previous year, the dead material. And we are taking that in a different mesh, and it will be also going to that drying process to be analyzed. So once we have took these 2 samples, we, in the same square, will take another sample that is related to the vertical distribution of this phosphorus. And this vertical distribution will be measured through this probe. So we are using our backsavers or our probes. And from here, we want to go to a deep of around 20 or 30 centimeters. And we will have 2 different samples here. In the top, we will have the O horizon, and then this O horizon that belongs to all the organic material will be separate as a different sample. And then we will have 0 to 5 centimeters, that this will be our A horizon, and it will be our topsoil. So in all these sampling, in each location, we are having 4 different sources of phosphorus that will be available for the riparian area. The treatment that we are doing with these samples is the biomass, the organic, and also the litter will go to a blending process that it will have this basically dust texture. And What we are emulating here is how water that the runoff of the snow melt in the spring will take all this phosphorus and will transport this phosphorus to the water. So the extraction of phosphorus that we are doing is a water phosphorus extraction process. We basically will take mass from each sample, and we will take this with just distilled water, ultra pure water, for 4 hours. And after that, we have a solution that contains the amount of phosphorus that will be delivered for one of each of these samples. So once we have this, we are going to filtration process, one process that is done by a Wattman a paper regular 42. And also we are going to a more specific process of a filtration that is this 0.45 microns filters through the syringes. And that will help us to analyze the total dissolved phosphorus. We know that plants require a different kind of phosphorus, but the one that they could have immediately is this total dissolved phosphorus. So we will do these measurements in each one of the samples. The sampling that we are doing is annually. We have done it in 2019 and 2020, and we have 2 samples each year. We will do a before sampling, before all the treatments, before all the treatments, and then the week after we are doing an after treatment sampling. The treatments that we are doing in the first site, it will be in all the sites, the first plot will be a control. Then we have a mowed treatment that is just cutting the grass around 8 inches tall. Then we have regular grazing, and finally we have high grazing. What we are measuring in this is how the different treatments will help to remove this material that will be a source for the riparian areas to include nutrients. So we have additional information here. This information comes from the University of Waterloo, from the master student, Ike Neil, and he has been studying the treatments in the biomass, doing moderate and severe freezing in each one of those. We have Manitoba samples, and we have Ontario samples. And what we had identified is, what he has identified, is that when the vegetation is going through a severe freezing effect, there is an increase in the amount of phosphorus that is lost from the sample, from the plants, in comparison with what we have in Ontario. In Ontario, where the freezing conditions are moderate. So that is one of the reasons that is giving more light in this kind of research, the need of this kind of research, because we don't want to have riparian areas unmanaged. We want riparian areas managed, especially here in the cold conditions of Manitoba, due to that. Even though we know that this buffer capacity belongs to every riparian area, if we don't treat it in here, our conditions that include frozen soils, dormant plants, and cold spring snowmelt, in those 3 conditions, the plants won't have the capacity to absorb nutrients as they will do it in another warmer climates. That will mean that instead of having the possibility to capture these nutrients or sediments, will happen during the growth times, the growth season. But when we are back to the spring snowmelt, all these resources and nutrients will be back to the field and will end up having an impact in our water quality, especially for rivers and the wetlands and the lake basins, basically. So this kind of management tools with cattle grazing are fundamental to continue study, specifically for our cold conditions. We have preliminary results here. We have seen that there is a decrease in the amount of phosphorus loss after the treatments for both years. We have seen that there is a biggest impact in the water edge. And this happens especially in the high graze cattle grazing that is a high graze intensity. And this has a correlation with the total dissolved phosphorus, because we can see that especially in the water edge, we have a change and a big drop in the amount of the loss of phosphorus that is happening each year. We have two different measurements, one that is a phosphorus per unit mass and also per unit area. And specifically in the phosphorus loss per unit area, this is a higher drop. So as we can see, this, in these preliminary studies, these are the results for 2019, we have seen that this could have a good improvement in the riparian area management and also in the filtering capacity. As part of the general health of the soils, we have done an initial study of bulk density, where we identified the variability, and we also will do it again at the end of our samplings. We are expecting to have an additional sampling to have a better information about some of the changes, and especially the cycling that could happen when we have the animals grazing in the same plot. And this is basically the takeaway message. The take-home message is we need to manage riparian areas, and grazing seems a very positive tool to do it, and we will continue to do this for the next 2 years if possible. Thank you.